All right, so on this slide, we're going to be continuing to talk about ordering rational numbers from real-world context. So we're going to have a word problem. Andy, Dana, and Becky each worked on homework for an hour. The table shows what part of homework time each spent on math and English. So in my table, in the first column, I have the different students, so Andy, Dana, and Becky. Then my second column, this is talking about how much time they worked on math, and the third column is telling me how much time they worked on English. So my first question is asking me, who spent the most time on math? So I'm going to look just at this first column. I have half, 35 hundredths, and 3/8. All right, so I know that half as a decimal is 0.5. I'm going to add a 0 because so far I need to have 2 digits behind my decimal. Then I'm going to look at 3/8. Remember that your eighths are benchmark fractions, so hopefully you've been looking at the Quizlet, but if you haven't, you can just do what we've been doing since the first day of school, top in, bottom out. Divide, so my decimal is 375 thousandths. Now I'm going to list my decimals again. And this time I'm going to add a 0 behind the first two so we can have the same number of digits. And again, I'm going to look at the first place value behind the decimal. This is the tens place. And I'm looking for who spent the most time. So I'm looking for the largest number. The largest number is 5, and that was represented by half. So Andy. Number 1 is Andy. Andy spent the most time on math. Okay. Number 2. Order the time spent on English from least to greatest. So now I'm going to be looking in the third column. I'm looking at these times. I have 2/10, 3/5, and 4/10. I know that 3/5 is 6/10, so I need to arrange these from least to greatest. So I'm going to write my decimals. Then I'm going to again look at my first place value behind the decimal, or to the right of the decimal. This is the tenths place value. I'm trying to go from least to greatest, so my smallest number is represented by the tenths, the 2. So that's Andy. Cross that out. My next smallest number is 4. That's represented by Becky. Cross that out. And then my last one leaves me with Dana. Okay? And then let's look at the third one. List all the fractions and decimals given in the table from least to greatest. So I already know that I changed this to half, and this to 0.6, and this is 3.75. So now I need to list these numbers from least to greatest. So I'm going to write them all out. Now what I need to do is make sure they all have the same amount of digits. I need 3 digits. Okay, now I'm going to look at my tenths place. Okay, my smallest number is the 2/10. Cross that out. Next smallest number is 3, but look here, I have 2 3s. All right, so let's look at the second column. This is our hundredths place. And since I'm going from least to greatest, I need to find the smallest number. So that's going to be 35 hundredths. Then it'll be 375 thousandths. Now I go back to my tens place, find my smallest number after crossing those two out. Left is the 0.4, cross it out, 0.5, cross that one out, last one, 0.6. My numbers ordered from least to greatest. All right, and then the very last one. Don't worry, I'm going to have the notes written on here. I'm just doing it as I go right now. So this one says, number 4 says, order the set of fractions in decimals below. We're going to do it different. We're not going to do least to greatest anymore. Y'all get that. We're going to do from greatest to least. So we're going to do the opposite way. So I have 15 hundredths, negative 4/5. Uh-oh, I see some negative numbers. Negative 1 and 25 hundredths, 1 and 3 hundredths, 1 and 5/6, and then negative 7/20. Oof. Okay. So I see equal number of decimals and I see equal number of fractions. I want to change my fractions to decimals. So I know that negative 4/5, using my fingers, my ring finger represents 8/10, so 0.8. That's the decimal. All right, so 1 and 5/6. So I need to convert this mixed number to a decimal. My whole number goes in front, then I'm going to write my decimal. Now I need to convert this 5/6 to a decimal. Top in, bottom out. 2, bring down my 0, 3, minus 18 is 2. So this 3 is going to repeat. So 1 and 83 hundredths repeating. Negative 7/20, 7 divided by 20. Minus 60. Bring my 0 down. Negative 35 hundredths. Do not forget about your negative sign. Your negative sign is very important. And your negative sign goes in front of the number. Now I'm going to take all these decimals. I'm going to rewrite them again. We turned 5/6 into 83 hundredths, repeating. And negative 7/20 into negative 35 hundredths. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit different. We're going to look in the first place value. So we're going to look in our ones place value. Negative numbers and 3 positive numbers. So what I'm going to do is take my largest negative numbers. Actually, no. What I'm going to do is take my largest positive numbers and write that first, because remember, we're going from greatest to least this time. So my first number would be 1 and 83 hundredths, repeating. Then I'm going to go to 1 and 3 hundredths. Don't forget to cross those out as you write them. Then my next positive number is 15 hundredths. Remember, positive numbers are always have a higher value than negative numbers. Okay, then my next negative number is 8/10, negative 1 and 25 hundredths, and then negative 35 hundredths. So I'm going to say negative 35 hundredths, negative 8 hundredths, and then last but not least, negative 1 and 25 hundredths. Oops, that's kind of off the screen. But negative 1 and 25 hundredths. So that is my order from greatest to least. My greatest number, my largest number, to my smallest number, the teeny tiniest. Remember, your negative numbers are smaller than positive numbers, always. Negative 1 million is smaller than 500,000. If you have any questions, you can message me on Schoolology.